Hello and welcome to part 2 of my PlayStation 4 collection. I'm going to try and cover another 15 games here. Thank you whoever clicked like on the previous video. And I did say if I get a like, I'll do another video. So yeah, here we go. Here's part 2. Probably going to be a few more parts really if this continues. Yeah, so I'm going to cover a few more games here. Same format as before. I'll just take them from the pile and we'll go through them. I'll just say a little bit about them, whether I like them, whether I don't like them, whether I've played them or not. Yeah, so let's crack on. Let's take from this pile here. Okay, so first game we've got, I actually mentioned this one in the previous video, I think, if I remember correctly. Just didn't get around to showing it. Agolos, or Agolos, I think that's how you say it. It's kind of like a Wonder Boy style game, if anyone's ever played the Wonder Boy games. It's very much done in the 8-bit style. You can see that, a classical non-linear adventure, deadly encounters, a vast kingdom to explore. Yeah, it's like a 2D side scroller. Looks very basic. It does play very basic. But as you go along, you can kind of get, I mean, you start off with just a sword. As you go along, you can kind of get some magical spells. You have to go to these magical temples to get some magic gems or something like that to save the kingdom. Yeah, it's not going to win any awards for story, but it's not really about that, really. I think it's more just a retro style game, and I think it's done really well, to be honest. I've played about halfway through it. It is pretty challenging. I am playing it on hard mode though. Let's just see what's inside here. Yeah, so inside obviously you get the game, and then you get a little bit of a manual, just kind of covering the characters, a little bit of artwork. Yeah, if you can see there the different kind of swords and armors you can get through the game. The samurai armor looks pretty cool. Some of the armor, like you can see the coral armor there, like the third one down. That one's like not too strong, but if you're underwater, it's stronger. It's little cool things like that. Yeah, I'm going to finish this at some point. The boss fights are pretty challenging as well, but luckily it's quite generous with the checkpoint system. The only thing I'd say, but I guess this is more, it's this way because of the type of game it is. Sometimes I'm like, where do I go? Like, it kind of tells you, but sometimes it's not completely obvious. But I think that's kind of intentional, really, in the design. I would recommend picking it up. I think I paid about 10 to 15 quid for that one. Not sure how much it goes for now, but yeah, it's just a cool little indie game, really. I think it did all right on PC. I think it originally came out on PC, and you know, people liked it, so it ended up getting ported to the PS4. So yeah, that will go into the recommended column. Right, second one here. Oh, you know what? I've never even opened this one up before. Planescape. No, not Planescape, sorry. It's just called Torment Tides of Numeria. Now, I believe this one was a sequel to Planescape Torment. Or it might be more of a spiritual successor. But it's basically like Baldur's Gate style. You can kind of see there from the back. You know, top down. I have played it a little bit. I must admit I struggled to get into it. This one's more kind of text-based. No, I won't say text-based, but more, yeah, it's more about talking to people to get your objectives done. The combat's pretty challenging, but there's not as much of it as in a game like Baldur's Gate 2. There's more of a focus on the actual conversations and the dialogue than games like that. This is the day 1 edition. I think my friend bought me this as a present, to be honest. Yeah, here we are. There's a soundtrack with it, so that's You can't complain with that. And I think, oh, we got a map. I didn't even know there was a map. It's huge. Yeah, maybe I will give that another go at some point. Now that I'm looking at it again. I just know it's going to be a massive game. I can tell. Mindforge, Simp Steel Plating, download code. And another download code for it. They call it a Traveller's Guide. Okay. I will give that a play at some point, if I'm being honest. Probably not for a while. I think you can pick this up for like maybe 15 quid or so. So if you're into the kind of the more story-driven RPG style games, yeah, I would recommend giving it a look. But yeah, if you like a bit more action in your RPGs, then I don't know, it might not be for you. Nice little game to have in the collection, though. I've actually got the reason I said Planescape before is I do have Planescape Torment here. I think I'll probably end up covering that in these few games that we're going over. So the next one, this is one I actually got quite recently. It was really good. It's called the Sexy Brutale. This one, I can't even remember how I came across it. It might have been in the recommended on Amazon. The thing is, I do get a lot of my games off Amazon, and because I buy some obscure stuff, it just recommends things to me. So then I'll have a look at it, and then I'll look it up on YouTube, see if it's any good. This game, is basically, it's like a puzzle adventure game, I suppose. You're basically locked in this mansion. You wake up in this mansion, all the guests are being killed, and you've got to stop the murders from happening. It's all based around like time travel, so the murders will happen over and over again, and you can go back and restart the day. And while the murders are happening, you've got to kind of go around the mansion and kind of spot clues, and you've got to you can never be in the same room as someone at the same time for too long, so you have to kind of try and spy through keyholes and see the conversations people are having and watch the actions they do, and then you go back in time and you can kind of do something to kind of prevent the murders from happening. And the ways the people get murdered in it is pretty relatively unique. The first guy is not really that unique, but after that it is. It's really good. I've actually completed this. I can't remember how long it took me, but it wasn't that long. I did solve some of the murders pretty quickly. What I found was one of them I solved and I didn't even realise I've solved it, and then it kind of bugged me because I thought, I don't really know what was going on there, and I just kind of solved the mystery. But to be fair, as I got to the end of the game, I kind of came to understand it more. There's like a big twist at the end that, to be honest, you won't see it coming. But it's quite cool, and then you get to kind of make a choice at the end about how things progress, because you're essentially like stuck in this dairy, you live in it. You see here you get like a manual, and it's got like pictures of all the characters. These are all the guests that kind of get murdered, and you've got to like save them. Yeah, and you'll notice they're all wearing like these crazy masks. I still can't really understand the mask part in it, but yeah, once you kind of rescue them, they take the mask off, and then you get their mask, and then it gives you another power, which might help you to go to other areas of the mansion, or give you like some kind of special skills. Like I think one of them gives you better hearing, so when people are whispering in a conversation in the next room, you can kind of like hold L2, and you can kind of hear what they're saying. So you might overhear a password or just a little bit of information. And the way the game runs is like literally like clockwork. You kind of restart the days, and they do the same things at the exact same times over and over. And essentially it's sort of like breaking that cycle, but like observing what people do to do that. And yeah, it's a really original game, and you get the soundtrack with it. The soundtrack in this game is awesome. I didn't feel like there was 23 songs in there. I didn't feel like there was that much. I mean, it wasn't that much. It was awesome, but it didn't feel like. I might have to stick that in and kind of go through them. I know that like each character, I think, kind of has their own sort of soundtrack, and the way the music plays as well. In fact, that's probably why there's so many soundtracks, because the way the music plays throughout the whole evening, like I think it maybe takes like 10-20 minutes for the whole evening to play out. It's over the course of a couple of hours, but obviously time's kind of sped up for the sake of gameplay. And the music kind of just keeps hitting a crescendo when people get murdered. And you can hear the murders happening around the mansion. And when you start the game, you're kind of like, what's all these random noises? Like you might hear like a gunshot or an explosion, or the lights will flicker. And as you progress through the story and you get to the other murders, you kind of see what made that happen. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And yeah, you are kind of left like, what the frick is going on? Like you kind of get to grips with it as you kind of getting near the end of the game, but you still don't really know why what's happening is happening. Yeah, it's a really cool little unique game. I think I paid about 15 quid for it. But yeah, it's really good, really good. I don't know if this was originally on PC and then again it was ported to PS4. But yeah, if you're into games that kind of make you use your brain, you know, that's what I liked about it. I felt like I was thinking, because sometimes, you know, sometimes you want to play a mindless game, but other times you want to kind of game and feel like you're also getting something out of it, like you're kind of developing some kind of mental ability, or at least using some kind of creativity. And yeah, that game did that for me. It was really good. I've not actually 100%ed it. There's like collectible playing cards you can pick up around the mansion, and I think some of them maybe you can only access at certain times. So I could, the good thing is once you play through it, kind of gives the option to go back into the mansion and kind of pick up all the collectibles, so you don't have to worry about getting them all first time round. I think it does have a platinum. Don't quote me on that, but I do think it does have a platinum. But yeah, definitely a good game. And to be honest, if you can get through the main game and complete it, it's probably not too difficult of a platinum after that point, because it's just a case of picking up the collectible cards. Yeah, so yeah, that's another recommended. The next one here, a lot of people probably already know about, because it's already kind of an acclaimed game. I think I must have put a cup down on the... How bad is that? I must have put a cup down on the back of the case. There's a bloody mark on it. I'll have to get rid of that at some point. I need to take these stickers off as well from when I bought them. But yeah, near... Oh god, I hope I say this right. Automata, I'm going to say. I naturally want to say Automata, but then I just think about tomatoes, and yeah, that's probably not how you say it. That's my common British accent, I think. Yeah, this game's really good. It's basically, I'm not going to say too much about it because I feel like it's a fairly well-known game, but I can't... This is another game that I kind of played for a bit at first and I was like, eh. And then I gave it some more time and I was like, oh my god, it's amazing. The opening's really good. It kind of switches from like top-down twin-stick shooter to side-scrolling shooter to kind of like Devil May Cry style, you know, action combat. And all the time you've got this little drone with you that can kind of shoot like a bullet hell style. And yeah, some of the bosses come at you with bullet hell stuff. It's just so good. And the story's kind of like you just kind of figure it out as you go along. Once you complete it the first time around, this is the great thing about this game. You complete it the first time around, then you play the game again from the beginning, but as a different character from their perspective. And on top of that, they have different skills. So, for example, this guy here, can't remember his name, 9S, I think he's called. He can like possess enemies, and then you can like play as the enemies, which is really cool. I've actually still not completed it because I started playing it again recently. Like, do you know what? I'm gonna finish this all the way through, and I put it on hard mode, and God, they're not messing about on hard mode. And the problem is on hard mode, at least when you start the game, you have to get through the first area, and then you can save the game. And so if you die in that first area, which I keep bloody doing, you're basically back to the beginning of the game again, and you have to go all the way from the start. I'll get there eventually, because I really think it's going to be worthwhile completing this one on hard. Yeah, inside, just some download. I'm not even using the download codes, just for like some additional gear you can use and stuff. Yeah, I think that book there, the Grimoire, is from Nier. I can't remember what it's called, but there's the other Nier games come out recently, and I think it's from that. Grimoire Vice Pod. Yeah, it's really good though. Definitely, 1,000,000%. Can't go wrong with that game. Maybe like 20 quid or something. You could probably get it online. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that game. It's awesome. It's awesome. And I don't usually like all the Japanesey character type games. Yeah, they just don't really like float my boat. That kind of design. But with that game, I didn't care at all. It was just awesome. Okay, next one. Sort of a sports game. Bloodball 2. I believe Bloodball 3 is coming out in December. It's not like FIFA though, you don't get a new one every year. Which is probably a good thing, because it's just a waste of money, isn't it? Spending 50 quid on a FIFA and then the next one comes out for a bloody shirt update and team rosters or whatever. Yeah, this is basically like American football, but set in like a fantasy setting. And you can kind of just murder each other. It's really good. There's loads of different races you can play as. Dwarfs, I think there's beastmen there. There's a few different versions of humans. The only thing is that the main this version of the game, there's not a lot of teams to play as. If you download all the teams, there is quite a bit of selection there. And I think you can get like the whole add-on pack now for about 15 quid. What bugs me is they haven't got like a full version that I've found where it's with all the DLC, and I feel like they really need to do that. So yeah, a bit annoyed about that, and I'm a bit concerned with Blood Bowl 3. I'm thinking, are you going to release it and have naff all teams and then do the same again? Because that's just going to annoy me. And it's a shame, because the Cyanide Studios, they make some good stuff. I wouldn't call them AAA, but yeah, they just make some different games that are kind of quirky. And yeah, and the way this plays, by the way, it's turn-based, so it's not for everyone. I mean, you'll have some games. I had some matches against the computer that took like an hour to finish. And you know, and that's with a time limit for taking your turns. And it's all done with like dice rolls behind the scenes, because there's actually a board game in this, and it plays pretty much exactly like the board game. So I believe they've brought out a newer version of the board game now with some slightly different rules. Although the core principles, I think, are the same. So you could kind of go from playing this to playing the board game, or vice versa. Well, at least from Blood Bowl 3's perspective, because that would be more up to date. But yeah, this would kind of definitely give you the basics down. If you really want a challenge, I'd say play online. Because yeah, playing the AI at first might be tough when you're kind of learning the ropes. But eventually you'll just annihilate them. Especially if you're playing like humans. Humans are one of the easy teams because they're more like all-rounders. They're kind of good at everything. Like the tougher teams to play as probably like dwarfs, because they're a bit slower. I mean, yeah, they're very like durable, so you don't really lose many players to casualties and stuff. But it's a lot harder to score, and scoring is essentially how you win the game, you know. So, yeah, but yeah, the computer. One thing I noticed about the computer is it never passes. And there's some opportunities where I'm like, oh, they're gonna score now, and they do something really dumb. Like, it's not completely stupid, the AI, but it misses some openings, and then you kind of feel like I didn't get a fair win because I left the opening, and then the AI was just too dumb to exploit. Whereas if it was against a real player, they probably would have done that. I've only played a couple of games online. I think I've only played like 3 matches. I actually won all 3 though. I was quite proud of myself. But yeah, the AI not passing it's really annoying. I mean, you don't have to pass the score. You can win a game without passing a single ball, believe it or not. Because there's strategies you can use to kind of get around that fairly easily, to be honest. But yeah, I think I only ever saw the AI pass once. And that's probably out of like 100 games. I'm not even joking. There's like a trophy for, I was trying to platinum it, and there was a trophy for intercepting a pass. Computer would just never pass. You put it in a situation where you're like, right, the only way they're getting out of this is passing. They won't pass. It's unbelievable. I ended up getting the trophy against another player. He was like playing as elves who were like the kings of passing. And I managed to intercept one of his passes. And yeah, but that's the trophy that like everyone is like after. It's really hard to get. So yeah, if you're looking to platinum, I wouldn't recommend it from that angle. But you know, if you wanted to give it a try, and then maybe you could pick up Bloodball 3 if you liked it. I think the basic Bloodball 2 isn't too much online. I bet you could pick it up for a tenner now. But yeah, just bear in mind, you're going to be annoyed because there's a lot of other teams that will be in the game after the update that you can't play as because you've not downloaded the DLC. Yeah, really, they just needed to bring out like I don't know, whatever the Premier League edition or something. I don't know. Yeah, so, but other than that, I do like it. It has a soft spot for me, but if I'm honest, like I tried getting my friends to play it with me, just won't, because he's not interested in it. It is a bit of a niche game, so it's not for everyone. I'll say that much. I like it, but yeah, it definitely has its flaws. And it's very slow paced. But it's like I said before, sometimes I like games that make me think. But yeah, if you really want to challenge your brain, once you got the rules down, you need to play against real people. Yeah, next one. Oh, by the way, in there was, I think it was just the disc. Yeah, it was just the disc, and a very, very, I mean, you're lucky to get any kind of manual these days. Yeah. If I don't open them, and you can assume there's naff all in there, to be honest with you. Next one, yeah, I bought this because I played Resident Evil 2 and I thought it was awesome, the remake that is. So I bought this. It's good. It's not as good as the Resident Evil 2. There's less content, less rewards for, like, say, completing it in a certain time limit. Carlos doesn't even have an alternate outfit, which is really annoying. Nemesis is pretty intimidating, though. He's pretty tough. Like, he will beat your ass. And there's situations where you can stand and fight him and kind of get additional items out of him and stuff if you choose to do that, but you don't have to. The graphics are awesome. But yeah, I just... it's good. I'm not going to say it's bad because it is really good. But if you had a choice between this or Resident Evil 2... even though when you played, say, the original PlayStation, you like Resident Evil 3 more, I would still say buy Resident Evil 2, just because you get more bang for your buck out of it. And really, this is like, this feels like a large DLC to Resident Evil 2. It's like they just used the engine, did some characters. I mean, apparently, I never actually played Resident Evil 3 Nemesis on the PS1. But apparently they have cut a lot of content out. I think the clock tower was cut out, my friend told me. So if you're looking for the exact full-on same experience, you won't get that. It's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, I've not even played this Resistance mode. I've seen some videos on it online. It didn't really look my cup of tea. It's like trying to survive, and I think another player's like spawning monsters. Yeah, I think they were just using that game to kind of play around with that idea as well. They basically just pumped it out to make a bit of extra money off some success, I think. I mean, really, they need to, well, in my opinion, remake the original Dino Crisis like that. I mean, that of Dino Crisis 2 as well. the original Dino Crisis, remake it like that. I mean, you're basically printing money. It's Jurassic Park, the game. I mean, with the graphics in that game, Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 2, you kind of put that into an environment with dinosaurs, like, you know, raptors that are flying around everywhere and T-Rexes. Oh, it'd just be insane. It'd be insane. But I think they're focusing now on, I think someone told me they were going to do Resident Evil 4. I'm like, why are you even doing that one? It's got so many iterations of it come out. Like, do Dino Crisis. Like, I just don't see... I know Resident Evil 4 was, like, a good game and everything, but I just feel like you don't need another version of that, really. But, you know, whatever. Everyone's opinion's different, so... Maybe I'm the only one who wants the Dino Crisis, so that's why it's not happening. But yeah, next one, Dragon Quest Heroes 2 Explorers Edition. I was on a bit of a Dragon Quest binge at one point, just picking up as many games as I could. Although they're quite expensive now, some of them, so they're a little bit out of my price range, because I won't just spend a lot of money just for the sake of having something. Yeah, this one's got some like add-on weapons and stuff. It's kind of like, if you've ever played Dynasty Warriors, like you're fighting lots of monsters all at once. It's a bit just like button mashy, to be honest. There's some good voice acting in there, actually. But yeah, for me, to be fair, I only played a few hours, so I didn't really give it that much of a chance. It just didn't really grab me from the start. I might come back to it one day, especially if I can get a friend to play it with me, because I think maybe it's oh no, it's one player. Bugger. It might have online co-op. It doesn't say it here though. Oh, network players 2 to 4. If I could get a friend to play it with me, I'd definitely go through it. But yeah, on my own, yeah, it's just not grabbing me. Next one, another PC games ported to PS4, just the disc with this one. Commandos 2 and Praetorians HD Remaster. I used to have Commandos. I basically got this game for Commandos. I used to have Commandos for the PC. I don't know if you see there some screenshots, but it's like a top-down strategy. You've got to kind of get your commandos through the level, and you'll have different commandos with different abilities. Like you'll have a sapper who can blow things up, a green berry who's just good at generally killing people. I think he can like bury himself in the sand as well to hide from guards. There's a sniper, there's a spy who can disguise himself as the enemy units. I think there's a guy who can, like, a scuba diving guy. And I think there's a couple more, but it's actually a really good game. Again, a game that will make you think. I've got some other games like this in my collection as well that are a bit more modern. And I'll probably get to them at some point because I wouldn't mind talking about them. Because they did some games on the Ps4 basically in the spirit of this. One was called Shadow Tactics, and another was called Desperados. I've not played Desperados. I've got Shadow Tactics, so I'll talk about that another time. But yeah, Desperados is one I'm looking to get. Anyway, so yeah, the only thing is on the PS4, I'll be honest, they tried mapping the controls to the PS4 controller, and it works. It does work, but it's awkward. Like, it's one of those games you can't beat a keyboard and mouse. Now, Shadow Tactics, they've absolutely nailed it on there. But for some reason with Commandos 2 HD Remaster, they should have took a page out of the book of whoever made Shadow Tactics, because the controls on this are they're just pants, to be honest. Which is a shame, because otherwise I would play all the way through it. But I'm not putting up with those controls. Still, though, nice to have it on disc, because it is a game that's kind of close to my heart. And they've HD'd up all the scenery and stuff, because the original PC version doesn't look too great. There's probably a mod out there though to improve it. Yeah, and then Praetorians, I've not talked much about that, mainly because I think I played it for like 2 minutes. I never played it on the PC. It's basically like Roman army, top-down strategy. If I'm being honest, it didn't really appeal to me. But if you're into that kind of thing, it might be worth a try. I can't say too much about it, whether it's good or bad, because I'm not really giving it a try. Next one. Yeah, I'm not going to talk much about this one, actually, because I've not played it. Dragon Quest, again, when I was on my Dragon Quest binge. Dragon Quest 11, Echoes of an Elusive Age, Edition of Light. The cheapest edition I could find. Just a registration card. Yeah, I was on a bit of a Dragon Quest kick, so I thought, why not? See if it's any good. Apparently it's okay. What I have found with some of the Dragon Quest games I've played in the past is they do kind of very much stick to those JRPG roots. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But yeah, for me, they got a little bit, some of them got a little bit boring in places. Yeah, like I'm playing Dragon Quest 8 on the 3DS at the moment, and it's good, but I just find it's a little bit grindy in places. I can't speak for this, like if it's the same, but what I found is I've played a few different Dragon Quests, and I've kind of found similar things in each. But, you know, it's got a big fan base, and it's got one for a reason. It's pretty good. The music in these games is really good, if a bit repetitive. Like, that battle music will just be going over and over in your brain all the time, and not in a good way. The first few times you hear it, it's fine. But it's like, geez, come on, give me a bit more music. They've been recycling the same music through, like, the whole series. Apparently the composer of it as well is a horrible human being, but that's a whole other situation. You can see the graphics are quite good. It's like anime style. The graphics are close to what it looks like on the back there, where they're riding the dragons. I mean, it's a good looking game, I know that. But yeah, I will give it a try at some point. It's another one I need to get round to, really. But again, you know, you're looking at a big time investment for it, really. I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey at the moment, and I'm not massive on Assassin's Creed games, but it's actually kind of hooked me a little bit. The last one I played was Black Flag, so I kind of give it some time so they can actually do something original with the game by the time I come around to playing again. But yeah, anyway. Next one. This is a good one. I don't know if I'm going to get to 15 games here. This is another good one anyway. Rock of Ages 3. Make and Break. And there is a Rock of Ages 2 and a Rock of Ages. It's basically... It's very much in the style of like Monty Python humour. There's loads of little funny cutscenes. You see there on the far right, like that's one of them. You're basically rolling your ball down a hill into a castle to smash the castle doors, and your opponent, whether it be the AI or another player, is putting obstacles in the way, like battering rams and cannons and stuff, trying to destroy your ball before it gets there. And there's like a time limit you've got to smash the gate by. There's different kind of balls, like you can see there's like a round, whatever you call it, like a rock wheel or something. You can be like a snowball, and they've all got different properties. And you can jump as well with the ball. It's really good, actually. It's really good. There's other game modes as well where you might be defending, or where you kind of got to get to the end of the track in a certain amount of time. Or score so much going down the track, hitting targets, and then you kind of got to jump into this, like, it's like a big round target with holes in it, and if you get in the middle, you get the most points. Around the edge, less points. It's really good. A little bit buggy. It crashed a few times on me, like kicking me out of the game, but it always saves your progress after every level. The levels are pretty short, so it was never really a massive issue. They might have patched it out now. I've done about 90% of this, which is definitely a good sign, because to be honest, I don't have a lot of patience with some stuff, but this is a good laugh to play. I've not played it with a friend yet. You can play it online as well. and I think it's split screen. Let me check. Split screen, yeah, 1 to 2 players split screen. You could have a good laugh with that, so that's definitely a recommended one. Next one, yeah, oh, still sealed, not played it yet. I only got it recently. Gravity Rush 2. I meant to pick up Gravity Rush Remastered, but it's a little bit too pricey, so I was like, I'll get Gravity Rush 2. I played the original Gravity Rush on the Vita. I did really like it. I thought, oh well, you know, great updated graphics on the PS4. If you've not played it, it's like you basically have control of gravity, and that's how you fly around, like inverting gravity, and it's a pretty cool idea. I think I've not played this one yet, but it might use like kind of the motion in the pad to kind of turn you around and stuff. But yeah, pretty good. I think you can. There's an option to just use normal controls as well. Or the graphics are pretty decent. The story is a bit like, what the hell's going on? But I just like playing these games and collecting all the items, basically, and kind of flying around the world and inverting gravity and stuff is really cool. So yeah, it's one definitely worth checking out. I will give that a try at some point as well. You can see my list of games growing here. But it's nice to know that if I'm really bored at some point, I can just pick something up and play it. Yeah, next one. Yeah, in the style of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. So we have Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition. There is actually an Icewind Dale 2, but they didn't release it on PS4. But yeah, Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition. It's basically Baldur's Gate, but like set in a different place. Like in the I can't remember what area they call it. In the Dales, in the Icewind Dales. But yeah, you create your whole party, and yeah, the difference with Icewind Dale to Baldur's Gate is that, like in Baldur's Gate, you kind of meet people as you go along, and they join your party, and they have like personalities and opinions and stuff. In this, you create your entire party. Some people prefer that because you can literally custom make your entire party, which is really cool. You know, if you kind of just looking to get the most out of your party, like combat wise, but you do kind of lose that party members interacting with each other and stuff. I still think it's brilliant, and is it as good as Baldur's Gate? Oh. Do you know what I'm gonna say? If I had to pick one, I probably would pick Baldur's Gate, but not by a lot. Like, God, but it's let's say Baldur's Gate is 95 out of 100 for me personally. Then Icewind Dale's 94. Like, there's not a big difference. And the other one here, Planescape Torment, which I briefly mentioned earlier. Similar game, except this one is like the set characters. You play as a set character. I think it's called like the Unnamed one or something. Or the Nameless one. You play as the Nameless one. You wake up as this like guy who's a bit messed up and like scarred and stuff, and you've got to kind of like find out who you are and where you came from. And what I noticed about this game is a lot of the XP that you earn isn't necessarily from battles, it's from talking to people. There's a lot more focus on the talking element. Like, for example, the first area alone, you have to talk to a lot of people just to kind of find your way out of there. And what I found was there was so much extra like side missions and content available if you explored all the conversational options, and kind of like actions you can do in dialogue. So if you're more like story orientated, that would probably be more for you. But the good thing about this is it's like the same type of game, the D&D games, but you've got one that's more leaning action ways, make your party action oriented, and another one that just gives you some really interesting characters. There is combat in it, but a lot of it's very like story orientated. I do mean to play through Torment at some point because it's a highly rated game as well. So yeah, and I guess that's what kind of spurred people on to make the Tides of Numeria Torment game, because it had a following already, you know. Anyway, this next one, this is a pretty interesting one. This is another game as well. What I find is some of these unheard of games, they have 6 soundtracks. Unfortunately, there's no soundtrack available with this one. But it is called Mad Rat Dead. Bit of a crazy name, crazy art style. That's kind of what the gameplay looks like. You're basically playing as like this rat who's died, and he's looking to get revenge for the person who killed him. It's a platformer, but with a twist, and the twist is that it's like if, how can I describe it? If Parappa the Rapper was a platformer. Do you know what? If you had a dance pad with this, it would be pretty sick. But basically, you have to move like in time with the beats of the music. And if you kind of miss the beat, you cock up your music or cock up your score. If you want, and you have a time limit to do the level. So if you miss beats, it kind of costs you in time as well. At least I believe that's how it works off the top of my head. Yeah, you can jump and dash in the air, and you can slam down on enemies, but you've got to kind of time everything. And at first, it really messes you up, because you like get up to a ledge and your instinct is to like press jump or dash in the air or do a certain move, and you're kind of not thinking about the beat of the music. But you know, after like a little bit, you kind of start getting to grips with it, and yeah, it feels pretty badass. And like I said, the music's really good. It's really unique in this game. I actually think this one maybe cost me a little bit, like 25 or something. But it's just such a unique game. I was like, I've got to have that game. So yeah, I would recommend it. But it's definitely not like, oh, pick up and play and just fly through it. It's going to take some like adjusting to get used to it. But yeah, definitely recommend it. Okay, I'm going to try and quickly cover these next two as well. I think I'm going to call it. I really need to do something about that. Right, sorry about that. I thought it was on silent. Okay, yeah, just quickly do these two. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Original 2 games, fully remastered. All the tracks, all the skaters. Well, if you've ever played Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 on the PS1, it is that, basically remade. And it plays like exactly the same, just with HD graphics. Ton of content. Yeah, really good, really good. And I think there's like, they kind of brought into it the new, because I think in the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater you couldn't like, I think they call it wall planting. You jump off the wall, so if you skate into the wall you can kind of plant off it and skate back. They kind of brought that into it, that extra mechanic, which kind of helps you kind of change your score a bit more. Yeah, good game. Would definitely recommend it if you were a fan of it originally. I think I played through Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and I was on to 2. And you can, you know, make your own character and stuff, which is pretty cool. Unlock different boards and designs. There's an online community that kind of design their own boards and stuff, and I think some clothing as well. So you can, yeah, there's a creative side to it as well. Okay, apologies. I'm going to call it there. I didn't realise how long the video was getting, to be honest. I was just talking and talking and talking. So I hope you enjoyed, you know, that so far, and I'll definitely do a part 3, you know, if I just get a little bit of interest in the video. So thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. Apologies I didn't get through the whole 15 there. I think we did 14, though it wasn't too bad. But there's plenty more to go through in future. Okay, thanks again. Bye.